The Duskbloods is FromSoft's newest game that they have been working on for quite some time. And over this past weekend, I got the chance to play in the network test. Today, I want to go over my overall thoughts on the game, the visuals, the performance, the gameplay. If you're new to this channel, feel free to subscribe, give the video a like, share it with a friend. And today, let's start off with the visuals. One of the first things you will notice about this game is the visuals and the art style. During the tutorial, once you make it outside, you're just blown away with this fantastic view. The overall theme of the game is kind of like this vampiric gothic vibe with a little bit of Bloodborne aesthetics sprinkled in as well. Now, we only got to see one out of the 3 launch maps, but from the map we saw, it was just visually appealing. All aspects of it were pretty well designed. And again, if you've played Bloodborne at all, you will definitely recognize some of the Bloodborne vibes. Even on some of the enemies, you'll notice right away some of the elite enemies that they definitely have some weapons stolen straight from Bloodborne. Now, yes, the art style is amazing, which FromSoft always nails their art styles in pretty much every game they've made, so that's not really unexpected. However, I do think the game would look even better with higher fidelity and higher textures, but unfortunately, this is a Switch 2 exclusive, and so just playing on the Switch, we aren't getting those high quality visuals that we would have on PC or Xbox, PlayStation 5. Now, with that being said, there is a chance that the game does look even better when the game fully launches. We still don't have a launch date yet, but even then, the game as is right now from what we got to play looks pretty damn good. Moving on to the gameplay. This is a very unique PvP game. If you have played any of the other Souls games, you will be very familiar with the core mechanics of the game, like the attacking, the dodging, managing your stamina meter, all that basic stuff that all the other Souls games have. To give you kind of an explanation of what is going on in the game, there are 8 players in each match. You have the choice of either queuing up solo or duo. And your goal is to get as much virtue, which is basically score or points, as you can to make it to the 4th and final phase. A phase is basically a round. At the beginning of each round or each phase, you get to choose your starting location. It will kind of show you as well if it becomes like a hot zone with like a red circle, basically telling you that there's quite a few people landing here. I don't think everybody can land in one spot. I had one game where it basically said there was too many people, and I'm pretty sure it was forcing you to choose a different zone to start in. Now you might be asking, what is virtue, or how do you gain virtue? You gain virtue by lighting flames, killing enemies, killing elites, killing players, killing world bosses, and pledging to rituals. There are different buffs at the ritual sites that will give you more virtue depending on the buff you select. There's a red stone, which gives you more virtue for killing enemy players, and then there's a gold stone, which I believe just gives you more virtue for the longer that you have pledged to that ritual site. The rituals do not spawn in phase 1, they only spawn in phase 2 and phase 3. You'll notice a notification come up when the ritual sites are active, and it's basically a site that is kind of incentivizing you to come to these places to PvP more. When you're pledging to these sites, you're definitely open for free hits, so be aware of your surroundings. Another way you earn virtue is there's a few commendation virtues, one for killing the most enemies. This can just be any regular PvE enemies. And there's also one for collecting the most items. You'll notice at the bottom of your screen kind of what place you're in. There are like a gold, silver color for each of the medals, indicating if you're in first, second, or third. If you're in first, the more virtue points you get. If somebody ends up killing more enemies than you, you'll drop down, and then you'll actually lose the amount of points that you have based off of that. There may be more commendations in the full game. I'm not too sure. This was a limited playtest, and this is all we got to play around with. Now, how do eliminations work? Players are eliminated starting in phase 2. Phase 1 is basically getting yourself as strong as you can, getting your kin leveled up, which is a PvE character that will follow you around. There's a few different kins in the game. These are very important to get and something you should probably seek out as soon as the match starts. You can also level up your Bloodsworn skills. You can get enhancements for your weapons, just regular buffs fire, poison, shock, and then lighting. And that's pretty much the entirety of phase 1. You can go around killing other players, but you just want to focus on leveling and getting yourself and your kin as strong as you can. Phase 2 and 3 is where people start to get eliminated. There are 2 people eliminated in phase 2 and 3 people eliminated in phase 3. And the top 3 players will move on into the final phase, which is phase 4. In the network test, the final phase was called the Moonblood Bestowal. This is just a 1v1v1. Last player standing wins, and each player gets 2 lives. It's kind of like if you've ever played Smash, the stocks in that. You die, you spawn back in, and there's also a little indicator next to each of the players that you're fighting that will tell you how many stocks that they have. It has been stated that there are supposedly other final phases, where one was said that there's like a PvE boss, which I'm interested to see how that goes. I'm assuming it will kind of be similar to where, like, in that case, if you die maybe 1 life or you have your same 2 lives, but that will be interesting to see what different endings they have and how those play out. I also wanted to mention that you have unlimited lives in phases 1, 2, and 3. You can die as many times as you want. Now, this will kind of take time away from whatever you were doing, especially if you were fighting these world bosses, which are the trespassers. This happens anytime any enemy in the lobby engages with a trespasser. You'll get a notification asking if you want to join this fight. You'll be teleported over there, and then when you die, you'll be teleported out, or when you kill the enemy, you'll be teleported to where you were, to where your last location was at the time you joined the fight. There were 6 playable characters in the network tests. I believe 10 will be out at launch. Nothing has been stated if they're going to add more post-launch. My 2 favorites so far were Albert, which is pretty much the starting character, and then Bloodhound Jan. I just felt like their Bloodsworn skills were the best. Bloodhound Jan also has a very OP second Bloodsworn skill that is kind of really hard to... You basically can't dodge it, to be honest. I think my least favorite character to fight against was the guy that rushes you. He turns into like a hound and just rushes you and then bites you and chomps on you. It was really annoying to play against. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of people playing him, but the ones that I did, they were abusing that skill for sure, which rightfully so. Some other gameplay mechanics that you want to take note of is that every character has a block or a shield. You just always have that. There are no like new weapons that you get. It's just you pick that character and they have their weapons and their 2 skills, and that's it. You have to reach a certain level with your character to unlock the second skill, and then you can either get more attack power for those skills or more usages out of those skills. There's also these blood powers and different buffs you get for defeating stronger enemies. You can hold 5 of these at a time, and it will be stuff like where if you kill an enemy, you get your health back. You could gradually heal over time, more stamina, things along that nature. There's also a stagger gauge in the game. One thing you really want to take note of if you do play this game is to get good with the Blood Howl. Timing this at the right time with their attacks will basically stagger them on their attack. It won't fully stagger unless their stagger gauge is filled all the way up, but it will fill the stagger gauge quite a bit. When you do fill a stagger gauge, you will be able to basically suck the blood out of them, vampire style. And if it's a regular enemy in the game, they will kind of attack other enemies for you. So you can almost, in a way, have 2 kin at the same time. If you do it to a player, most of the time they're probably going to die unless they had full health, but again, most of the time they'll probably die. I don't think you heal off of it. Some characters do have like a passive heal you get, but I believe if you play Zork, anytime you kill an enemy, you actually reduce the amount of max HP that they have. This game also has a lot of verticality with how the maps are designed. Now, the maps are very easy to navigate. You have basically 4 jumps. You have your starting jump and then 3 jumps midair and a dash while you're in midair. You can also do like a super jump by holding the jump button. You'll know your character will just kind of charge up and jump. You can reach some pretty high heights. This makes the gameplay very smooth and fluid. Just being able to hop around and move around the map real quick is very satisfying. Probably some of the best movement mechanics in any Souls experience. There are also little white teleportation things on your map. to where at a certain part of the phase they will open up and you can teleport anywhere on the map as long as you're not in a fight with somebody, but yeah, pretty much as long as you're not in combat with somebody, you can teleport around. A few other things that I want to note is there is a tutorial in the game, and Souls games you kind of just play them and figure things out on your own. This game I would 100% recommend reading and playing through each of the 4 tutorials. Not sure if there will be more in the main game, but at least the 4 that we had in the test, they are definitely worth playing. I think because I spent the time to read through all the tutorials and play through the 4 that were there, taught me enough about the game to where I went into my first 2 matches and I won both of them. I just felt like I had an edge over the other players. It felt too easy, honestly. Like my virtue score was just way higher than others, and then getting to the end, the Blood Moon Bestow, I was probably just way stronger than the other characters, and it was a breeze. I didn't die once in both of those matches in the final phase. Lastly, the game is pretty chaotic. There is a lot of PvP, but it's very satisfying. I didn't expect there to be as much PvPing going on as there was. There's definitely a lot of PvE, and the PvE is very important to do. Like if you skip around on it, you're going to be under leveled. You'll probably won't have as much virtue and you won't be able to kill other players. There's also sigils, which I think are going to be a fun aspect of the game. I didn't really play around with them too much. The sigils are basically where you'll have a sigil and you can hunt down an enemy that is marked. There's 2 different types of those, and then there's one where you can find like your lover, your friend, and then you'll be in an alliance with them. It's one thing I forgot to mention as well. Outside of duo queuing, you can get into an alliance with another player in the game. You just hold the Y button, press up on the D-pad to try to get into an alliance when you come up against another PvP or another player, and they will either choose to accept it or not. Most of the time, at least in the playtest, a lot of the times people would not accept it. Like they would just run away from me. At that point, I would just try to kill them because it's like, all right, you don't want an alliance. The alliances can be very strong. It's definitely worth doing, especially early on. I think if you get in an alliance in that first round, it will definitely increase your chances of getting to the final phase. One thing to note about this is that your virtue is split in half, and if you choose to break that alliance before the final round, you forfeit half of your life to your other alliance member. Moving on to performance. The performance was good. Again, we're playing on the Switch 2. I also played on Wi-Fi, which I never play on Wi-Fi for any game. I only disconnected once. I didn't really have any connection problems outside of that. I do think there was a slight delay with hitting the players. Not as bad as you would see in other PvP like Elden Ring, Dark Souls. I thought the hit reg was pretty good and just the overall performance was good. The frame rate was probably somewhere between 40 to 60. I do expect it to be closer to 60 on the full release. Not 100% sure that will happen, but we're definitely hoping for that. And that's really my only, not frustration, but disappointment with this is that as of right now, this is a Switch 2 exclusive. I saw something the other day and I haven't had a chance to look into it, so I don't know if it's real, but FromSoft actually owns the Duskbloods IP and not Nintendo, so this could be a timed exclusive. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do hope this game is able to be released later on all the other platforms. Overall, I thought the game was fun. After the first night, I was kind of iffy on the game, but I saw myself wanting to play more. On Saturday, I actually didn't realize there was no playtest at the nighttime. So the whole day, I'm like, man, I'm ready to play Duskbloods. Got to the nighttime, realized that there was no network test that night, so I was disappointed and had to wait till Sunday night. I think if you're a Souls PvP enjoyer, this game will be perfect for you, and I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. If you're not the biggest PvP person in Souls game, or you just hate it overall and you're sitting there like, man, I wish they were just making another single player game, which we know they are, but you wish that it was coming out now. I understand your frustrations, but I think if you have a Switch 2 or are at least somewhat still interested in the game, it will be worth getting and you'll probably have a good amount of time. Again, there is a lot of there is a lot of PvP, but the PvE is also important as well. You're not just PvPing the whole time. There was plenty of games where I didn't even PvP until the end, just because I wasn't running into players. Players weren't coming to ritual sites. I was able to get strong enough to where I would still have enough virtue points to make it to the end, and I would make it to the end. Again, there's also a chance for other endings to not be PvP at all. Even the story, there's definitely going to be a story in the game. When you just first load in and you're thrown into the tutorial, there's definitely going to be some story aspect in this game for sure, which I'm interested to see. Just I love the overall theme in the game, so I'm pretty excited for that. So yeah, I didn't know what to expect going into this playtest. I mean, we got the first gameplay trailer before the day before, and yeah, I hadn't played Night Rain, so I played Night Rain, but only in the beta. After playing the 2 nights, I found myself enjoying it quite a bit, and now, which don't have a release date, I'm pretty excited for the game, and I will probably be picking this up and diving into it quite a bit. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Peace.